This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. This is the Heavy Bag Boxing podcast where there is no debate. We are the best podcast out there right now. Together with me right now, you have our Captain Lucas Biggers, our First Lady Shakura Armstrong, and we have our special host who now really is a regular on the show, Malachi. Malachi is from Danger Zone Boxing Talk.
Luke, thank you for having me on again.
No problem, man. Thanks for having him.
Yes,
Guys, let's get into it. We had a very interesting weekend of fights. First, I want to start out with your thoughts on the doubleheader pay-per-view. Before we get reactions, discussions, I just want your thoughts right now. Lucas, was it worth it?
I'm not gonna lie. You know, it was my anniversary, so I did miss a lot of it. That being said, I definitely not miss all of it. From what I've seen, no, I think it was already a pretty decent card, pretty action-packed. So you got your money's worth if you did pay for it.
Malachi, I know I paid for it. I had a little hosted a little party over here. What were your thoughts on the card overall? You know, without going in depth into the matches yet, what was your thoughts on how it was ran, the commentator, you know, everything?
I love the card. And like Lucas said, it was action-packed from the start. So many good fights. There were a lot of people taking Micah, and you've seen Cass knock him out. And so I thought it was worth it. The only part that I don't mean to go too long, but the only part I didn't like was the interlude where they showed no fight. And I actually, you know what I mean? Other than that, the card was dope.
Yeah, Shakura, if you're still here, because we actually can't see you right now, but if you're still here,
there she is.
You go. There she is. Shakura, just on the card overall, what are your thoughts on the card? Was it a good one?
Yes, I actually did enjoy all the fights. Only one of them seemed a little long to me, but for the most part, we got action all night, and that's what I live for with boxing, is to have those, you know, those emotional moments where, you know, you're exhilarated, you're happy, you got a loser type hangover. Those types of things is what I live for.
Yeah, you know, just to break down the card a little bit and my thoughts on how everything went, you know, I was very impressed with it and how they did the two double headers. I actually thought that it was a great idea just having 3 fight cards each and not overextending it on the fights, because the fight lasted till after 1 a.m., you know, and usually some fights turn around with only 3 cards each. Some fights would turn that around and it'd be midnight and everything would be done. So that tells us the level of fights that we have were high level competition. I also thought it was a good idea to put the intermission in there because, you know, it was a lot of action in that first card. You know, so I actually needed that intermission to kind of take a break, get some food, get a little breather in me, you know, and then I was really ready and amped up for the second set of fights. So I thought overall it was done really well. What I didn't really like that intermission talk that they had with the MMA kind of broadcast or whatever. I really didn't enjoy that a whole bunch, but I was on a break anyway. But really,
I want to appreciate you sending me a picture of them chicken wings you had, because they was looking really good. You made me hungry.
Yeah, well, I paid for it the next day, but no, I'm just saying. But overall, that was the only issue really, and that's just on the intermission. The whole broadcast was done really well, and I thought it was done well even without the fans during COVID. I thought that the fighters really took it serious. With that being said, let's try to break down the card in a little bit, guys. So let's go over the first Charlo fight card. The Charlo versus Derevyanchenko was the first card, and kind of look at the highlights of that card, and break down the main event. So Lucas, we'll start with you on that card. What you've seen, you probably definitely saw the main event. So is that the fight that you really enjoyed?
For me, yeah. I mean, like I said, it was my anniversary. I didn't get a whole lot of time to sit down with it, but I definitely watched the Charlo Derevyanchenko fight, and it did not disappoint. Great fight. And I'm surprised. Charlo did way better against Derevyanchenko than what I was expecting.
Okay, but did he do better than Triple G? Did he do better than Danny Jacobs? That's the real question.
And I would say he was at par.
Okay, so you really trying to take the low road and not tell us what you thought.
No, at par. I mean, he was even with them.
You thought he was even.
Yes.
Malachi, what was your take on that first card? What was your best fight, actually? We'll start there.
Oh, we can't hear you all of a sudden.
We can't hear you, Malachi.
That's weird. It was working just a minute ago. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the main event for me was the best fight because everything that was on the line on the main event. And I got to disagree with Lucas. I think he looked a lot better than Danny Jacobs and Triple G in beating Dev. I mean, there were some rounds that I gave to Dev, but most of the rounds I really gave to Charlo. I thought Charlo just looked like the better fighter, and I agreed with the outcome, and I think he proved that he deserves a shot at anyone at 160. And if Canelo decides to come back to 160, then Canelo needs to fight Charlo.
So you just want to send him right after Canelo? Then you think he's ready already? He proved it. He's proved enough.
Well, Canelo's not going to come back to 160 just to fight Charlo. Charlo's going to have to still make it worth Canelo's time. Go beat Triple G, unify middleweight, and then Canelo's still going to tell him, let's come up to a catchweight, probably, because he's going to want to fight him at a catchweight at 168. Probably like 167, 166, something like that. You know how the game goes.
I don't know if he really needs to rush it, though. I mean, a lot of people at 160 to fight.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to have to unify first, though.
Yeah.
Before he's got to make it worth Canelo's time. You know what I mean? He's, in my opinion, has he done enough to fight Canelo? Absolutely, but he's still, if you're Canelo and his team, you gotta make you gotta make it worth my time.
Yeah.
So I gotta stretch this one out to you, Malachi. Usually I'm not on Lucas's side when it comes to this topic, but I kind of got to stretch one out to you on this one. So you mean to tell me that it's all right for Canelo to go back down to 160 for one title, but he shouldn't go down, 168 for one title, but he shouldn't go back down to 160 for one title. He has to have multiple titles.
Yeah. I'm telling for their team. If I'm their team, no, you got to make it worth my time. If you have all the belts at 160, because Charlo stands a good shot against Canelo. So you got to make it worth my time. I'm still the face of boxing. You got to make it worth my time.
But I'm saying
you're asking him to do something that Canelo himself didn't actually do, right? You understand that, right? When you say that, he did not have no unification at middleweight. You want him to do something that he didn't even do before vacating and becoming a franchise champion.
That's what happens with the silver spoon.
He's the face of boxing.
Oh, the face of boxing. Guess what? The face of boxing hasn't even been seen this year. It wasn't seen most of last year. So what kind of face is that?
I'm not here to make. I'm just telling you.
I'm telling you,
It quickly got turned into let's bash Canelo.
Listen, I'm not trying to bash Canelo. I actually like him. I don't understand why the hell he don't fight these people when he can beat them. My point is, it's hard to argue and say that somebody is the face of boxing when we have not seen his face actually in the ring in quite some time now. And then on top of it, you're asking Charlo, who's at middleweight, to come up with not just the belt he already has, which is WBC, which, you know, that's supposed to be the one that everybody wants. So he has that one. You're asking him to try to, I guess, go across the pond, so to speak, to the zone and get what? An Andrade belt too? Have them fight. You want him to clean out the entire division and grab all these belts when Canelo did not have to do that his own self. No. Like, it's kind of like, come on now, Malachi. I mean,
so I gotta call it time out.
I agree with you that Charlo has earned the right to fight Canelo. But what I'm telling you is what his people are gonna be like. You know it, and I know it. This is the game, and they're gonna be like, you gotta make it.
He fighting more with his own people, well, so-called people that he is in the ring fighting opponents right now.
Well,
so guys,
I'm not saying that Charlo, because he beat Derevyanchenko, is not ready to go up to 168 to fight a Canelo. I'm not saying that by any means. What my point is like it's ridiculous to ask Charlo to do all these additional things at 160 when it's not something that Canelo himself has done. That's my point. I haven't even gotten into what I think about the Derevyanchenko versus Charlo fight.
Right. And I want to get back to that. And the reason why is because we're actually going to have this discussion. We're going to discuss the middleweights here a little bit later. So go ahead and give us your breakdown of the actual Charlo Derevyanchenko fight.
You know, you just look at people's faces sometimes, the boxers, and the way they look, and you could just tell who got the worst end of it. And that was kind of like, you know, what we saw with Derevyanchenko, with both eyes being closed, being really bruised up. I understand he had to go to the hospital afterwards. So we kind of, you know, got a clear picture of who actually, you know, got bested in that fight. Charlo, he looked great. Derevyanchenko is one of the tougher guys that you could get at a middleweight to even be able to say, okay, now you said I needed a name. You said I needed to fight, you know, come up on my competition. He gets to say those things now. Would I still like to see him against Andrade? Yes, because of the speed, because of the rivalry, because they were supposed to fight back in the day, because there's a title that can be unified. All those things make it a great fight. Do I think it will happen? I don't know. I'm doubtful. I'm really doubtful. I mean, maybe they can come up with an agreement between PBC and Matchroom. We have no idea. Or Showtime versus DAZN, or Fox versus DAZN. Who knows how they would be able to work out those dynamics? But when people really want something to happen, they do. My point is I don't think Andrade has enough fan base to even, you know, level up with the fan base that the Charlos have at this point. So it's kind of hard to make a super fight between those two and have all these different parties accommodated in a negotiation if, you know, Andrade isn't like known that way. He's not well known on that capacity. So I'm doubtful that that's going to happen. So at this point, would it be best if Charlo went ahead and made a move at 168? If I'm his team, I'm definitely going to be seriously considering it. You know, why waste more time being at a weight class waiting around for a title that you may never get?
I agree.
Okay.
Kind of like what happened to Triple G. And you know what I'm saying? Like, just to add to whatever you guys were saying is, you know, a lot of fighters done their homework. They done what they had to do to get the title shot. But let's be honest. So did Triple G. And what Canelo did, he vacated the belt. He played the games, waited out, wait for the men to age a little, and boom. He fought him at his own term, on his own time. Like, yeah, Canelo is the face of boxing. You know, some of us don't like the antics that he be using outside the ring or all these little advantages, but the man is a great fighter. Nobody can take that away from him. The man keeps improving. Every fight he gets better and better. This is why sometimes it's disappointing when he's looking for every little thing like a diva sometimes, because it's like you don't need to do all of this. You hurting your own legacy by doing all of these weight classes and catch weights and I come out first. All these silly things that is unnecessary. Andrade did what he had to do to get a title shot. He didn't give it to him. Triple G had that to do, so he waited him out. So even now, the problem that he's having with the Zone right now is because people are expecting that trilogy. And what's Canelo do? No, he wants to do things in his own way. Just the WBC that kissed his ass, he vacated that belt because they put the pressure when he won that fight against Cotto, that they said, well, you got 30 days now to make that fight with Triple G. He vacated the belt. He was like, well, nobody's going to tell me or put the pressure on me how many days I need to make a fight.
Right. Hobby, question.
Right.
Question real quick. Because I heard everything you're saying about Canelo, but nothing about the Charlo.
Oh, the Charlos look great. I'm not going to take nothing away from the Charlos.
But let's talk specifically the Charlo Derevyanchenko fight. Okay.
So, to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting for him to look this good against Derevyanchenko due to the fact that, that Jacobs kind of had to adjust a little. Triple G also didn't look that great against him. So I was expecting Charlo, to take a little longer than he did. He did took like 2 or 3 rounds to adjust to him. But I always said it before in this chat, in this group, I said it in everybody. 160 Charlo, I think it's Jamal, he's way better than his brother. And he has a beautiful style. He's more technical, and he proved it. And this is, again, like I said, this is the reason why he's also avoided at 160. Because people know that Charlo is nothing but trouble. And he will make a solid fighter look bad in there or look simple.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You know what? I was equally impressed. But I was impressed with both fighters, really. Charlo, even after the fight, said, man, he's bad. He's a bad dude. And Charlo was trying to knock him out. And I honestly thought for a minute there he would be able to at least knock him down. Yeah. And none of you guys have even said that. And I thought Lucas for sure would. But
that's
Lucas,
the reason I say par and not above par. Because, Golovkin was able to knock him down. Jacob was able to drop him. He could not drop Derevyanchenko. So that way I say, they're pretty level. I think the winning of rounds was more significant, but it didn't seem he has as much power.
Right. And that's what surprised me. But really, I thought we seen a very tough Derevyanchenko that night. I thought, and we've seen different levels of him. I thought that he fought at a lesser level when he fought Jacobs than when he fought Triple G. I thought he stepped it up and was at another level when he fought Triple G. I feel like that night, last Saturday, he was at another level. But unfortunately, the level of it wasn't there. And that's how tough Charlo is. So to me, I thought Charlo had a hell of a performance, and the crazy part about it is on the scorecards pretty much, and none of us, I don't think, would disagree, but he dominated the fight in a fight that he really didn't, it was a competitive fight. It wasn't a fight where you would just look at it like, oh, this guy got his ass beat. No, it was a competitive fight, and he still dominated the outcome.
So guys, I have a question based on the topic that you guys were just touching on like a few minutes ago. So
well, that might be later, Hobby. If we're talking about middleweights, that's gonna be later. See, I send you guys all the topics ahead of time, and that'll be later in the show.
It is about middleweight, but
I gotta move on. Elmo, we gotta move on. We'll get to that. I promise.
We got some comments, Rob.
Yeah.
Go ahead, guys.
Okay. So we got Gene, and if he says if he moves up to 168, Charlo versus Benavidez would be a great fight. Then we got Clarence McLean. He says, yes, it would. And then we got Gene again saying, but he had a better overall performance than both Jacobs and Triple G. So I disagree. It was above par. He coming after Luke.
Agree to
I
disagree.
agree with that. But anything else?
If he would have dropped him, that would have pushed it over for me. See, that's all it takes.
That is true.
Boxing's objective.
You don't think Derevyanchenko fought a little bit more, defensively responsible particularly early on? Because what we've seen from him is when he does get knocked down, it's early in the fight, and because he's not taking care of his defensive responsibility, and he was a little bit more careful in his fight. And he didn't have it, man. Charlo was at another level. I thought the difference in levels of the fighters was evident.
Oh my God, I'm starting to feel bad for Derevyanchenko. That was like the third title shot. Like, who is he gonna get to fight that he can actually get this title? I want him to have a title now.
Right.
I know it's wrong, but like, damn, 3 times and you come up short. I mean, and that's your dream, is you just want to get the title one time. You're fighting a Triple G, a Danny Jacobs, a Charlo now, and a whole nother younger fighter, and you're kind of like missing. You're slowly getting more and more diminished with these hard fights that he's having.
Yeah, and I mean that just speaks to how stacked the middleweight division is that we're, even talking about it, because he is that good. I think in a different time, he's a champ. So he just keeps running into these brick walls, and I mean there's a lot of them at middleweight.
And we'll get a chance to look at that and break that down as far as the middleweight division goes. Hobby, did you have something to add to the topic, or because I did?
I was just gonna say that I think it comes down to boxing politics, where they the promoter and the organizations are kind of using Derevyanchenko as a solid test for this elite fighters. You know what I'm saying? So they're not really playing to help Derevyanchenko. They're playing to help the others fighters with Derevyanchenko.
So you call him a gatekeeper, basically.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say like he's not nowhere gatekeeper level. I think he's above that. I think he's like the big test, so we can know the big fighters from elite. So once they pass that test, then they're elite. So Charlie just graduated with honors on Saturday.
Yeah, because from what I heard, Charlo by name mentioned he wanted Derevyanchenko by name. That's what he said he wanted. And I think it's because of that test with Danny Jacobs and Triple G. So that you want to try to compare it to that. Just to touch note on some of the undercard that I do want to give an honorable mention to, that Cass versus Micah fight. That was a hell of a knockout. Cass attacked Micah from the very beginning in the open gate. And he's got power for a bantamweight. Micah, I know you wanted to touch on that fight a little. Malachi's side.
Casimiro.
Yeah,
okay.
Casimiro. Malachi, I know you wanted to touch a little on that knockout there. If you want to.
It was impressive because there was a lot of people taking Micah. I was in the Showtime. Shout out to Ray Flores and Brittany Goosen. They had a Zoom, and we were in the Zoom with some fighters in there. And a lot of the fighters were taking Duke to win the fight. I think even Ray thought he stood a really good chance at winning the fight. And Cass went out there and beat him up. And then did you see what he was doing after the fight? He was telling Monster. He was telling Naoa. He was telling Naoa, "You're not no monster. You're a turtle. You're scared of me, mother. I can't want to cuss, but mother effer." You know what I mean? Like disrespectful, especially the Japanese are very respectful people. Very blatantly disrespectful. So I would expect the answer for that very soon. And that's going to be an awesome fight. Really... So what are you going to say about that fight, Rob?
The monster is for one. Both of these two fighters, from what I've seen in Cass Saturday and what I know in Innuendo, they both make the bantamweights look good. They really do. They make the bantamweight fighters look good because they got power. They got power for that.
So they top, pound for pound worthy, right?
No, they need to move up. I would like to see them take on each other.
Wait, Nail has already won multiple weight classes.
See, this was what I was waiting for. I was waiting for him.
I don't mean to
But
go.
maybe we'll break down the
words.
bantamweights. Maybe we'll break down the bantamweights in
You need
another.
to eat the words, Rob,
another.
because you just admitted that they are action-packed fights and KOs at lower weights, and you need to go ahead and fess up and be like, you know what? I was a little wrong. I mean, there are some exceptions to the rule below 130.
But what?
Yeah, but. Yeah.
I don't think that's a rule where 135 doesn't matter. These little guys, they bang. And
Yes.
The monster, he has nothing but knockouts. Chocolatito had a bunch of knockouts. It just Rob's own perception where he don't want to recognize the little guys. But the little guys, man, they give us a lot of good fights. And, you know, they throw like 100 punches around. They're banging. Sometimes they're not there for boxing. They're just for a fight, a dog fight. So that's entertaining, you know, even when people don't want to find anybody below 135 entertaining.
Look,
that's what I'm trying to get him to admit, that his theory.
He was almost there. He was almost there, but
look, it was highly entertaining, and it was well worth putting on the card. I'm moving on.
I didn't get to say what I thought about that fight.
Oh, go ahead, Shakur.
The only thing I really wanted to say is, I mean, the power and the fact that, you know, if he's super bantamweight right now is like a really, really, really strong, like, area. Bantamweights, you know, and super bantamweights, you can fall in there real easily with either one because it's only a few, you know, pounds in between. I'm telling you that is a heating up division for sure.
It is, yeah. So I'm gonna move on to the next Charlo card. But hold on, Sakura. But before I do that, I do want to give a shout out to Brandon Figueroa. Lucas, your boy had a dominating performance there. He beat the brakes off of that guy. There's really not much we can say over that after that. But
yes, there is. Oh, yes, there is.
Sakura, you're the first lady. Go ahead.
You know what? He really is a heartbreaker. I mean, that's a gorgeous looking young man who's a boxer. He doesn't look like he would be able to get in the ring and show us anything but pretty face. And he just he's a terror in there. I mean, he's like really aggressive. He's got a killer instinct. His chin has to be like lead or something. I mean, because like you can hit him straight in the face and he's just like, you know, he still keeps coming at you. I mean, so I'm like super impressed with him, and he's a girl pleaser for sure. I mean, he got the looks, so they can make him like a little star at that weight class in that area. So I feel like he has a huge future ahead of him.
Yeah, big shout out, and that heartbreaker little thing that they ran with the song and everything going into that was picture perfect for that moment. That was great. So moving into the second of the doubleheader, which was Charlo versus Rosario. Lucas, reaction to that fight, because that one we all were on the fence of. We all, some of you guys believed that Charlo brother might lose that night. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Oh man, it was a weird fight. Rosario did not come in like I thought he would, to say the least. But more than anything, I'm kind of interested in what everybody else thinks about this body shot at the end. Now,
here we go.
I'm not calling anything fake, but I'm friends with a lot of boxers, and a lot of boxers are telling me that it did not look right. You know, and what seems like a simple punch to the body is, you know, not for me or you to judge. You know, he could have been breathing in at just the right second, trying to exhale at just the right second. That's all it takes. But the fact that a lot of other people are kind of attacking him, I want to know what you guys have to think about that.
Honestly, I think the internet has given a lot of idiots a voice, including myself. But at the same time, you know, you'd be surprised. It looks like deceiving. Sometimes that little shot that looks like a little tap, it could have a bunch of power in it. Now, it was a shot to the abdomen, below the, you know, in between like the belt and in between his, you'll say his belly button. So I don't think he took a dive like some people want to say. I don't think he also tried to take the easy way out where it's like, well, I'm like knocked down 2 times already. I'm way below on the cards. There's no reason for me to go on. I really believe he tried to get in, but his body just gave up. Sometimes those body shots, if you ever got hit with a body shot, your soul leaves your body. You cannot breathe. You cannot move. Like your mind is reacting. You know what you want to do. Your body just don't respond. So I think that's what happened. And when he even tried to get up, the ref kind of was like, okay, you're done. You know what I'm saying? But I think he was fighting a good fight. I think he was putting some pressure. He had Charlo backpedaling for the most part, kind of like Harrison did. Charlo was definitely respecting the power because he wasn't coming in too crazy, even though he was launching a little wild at times. Mm-hmm. But Charlo knew what he was up against. Now, props to him for, that little jab to the body is underrated. A lot of fighters don't like to do that because they like to swing with the haymakers and everything. But look what happened. He finished the fight with a jab to the body. You don't get to hear that much. I got to give him props for that.
Yeah. Clarence says, I thought he killed Jason with the laughing face.
I mean, that's not funny. I thought he was dead, too. I thought he was on his way out.
Look, I mean, yeah, okay. If he faked it, I think he's a good actor because, man, he was writhing in pain. Yeah. I mean, it was all over his face.
Yeah.
And I feel like if he was really trying to, like, get out of the fight, then why not do it the round before when he was really hit on the top of the head and, was really rocked hard. That would have been a perfect time to, like, be like, okay, I'm done. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Also, all of the Asian principles of combat sport, they know, like, there are certain pressure points on our body that you can even just tap if you really want to, cause somebody pain or put them to sleep or make them have spasms. Those things exist. My thing with Rosario is I do think he did a decent job. They didn't say he like basically won 2 rounds. I'm not sure about that first round knockdown that they called because I thought I saw his leg actually, go through the ropes and he like basically was misfooted. But the issue I had is that I feel like that happened because of nerves. Like I really feel like Rosario did not perform up to his potential because of nerves. I really do. Because you could see in little things that he was doing that it was like, Now, I know some of you would be like, well, that's just because that's how good Charlo is, that he put him off his game. But I think Rosario might have been his worst enemy in this fight right now, guys. Yeah. Just on kind
It's possible. You go from the fights to, main eventing a pay-per-view fight.
To a unification, to a,
I mean, that got amplified quick, I don't blame him if he's a little nervous.
Yeah, and not only that, guys, but he had the pressure of, like, there's never been a unified champion in the Dominican Republic, right? So he had, under his head, I know he had that thought in his mind, like, wow, I got this pressure, you know what I'm saying? He had the whole country behind him. And yeah, like Sakura said, there were times in the fight where you could see he was a little too upbeat, like he was a little too hyped. Like just calm down, take your time. Again, that might be the little inexperience. He haven't been that much championship fights. Mm-hmm. But, I don't think he took a dive for none of that. I think just like Sakura said, probably the nerve got the best of him. And Charlo, he was more relaxed because he has more championship rounds. He has more experience.
Right. Mm-hmm. And nothing against Charlo for that. I mean, he took some really, he looked like a couple of times he might have been rocked, because he jumped in to hold Banana. He held him a couple of times like, that was a good one, But those rounds, it's just like that Jose Pedraza situation from last week. It's like, you fight so many elite people or you going up in rank, those Harrison fights really prepared him for a unification bout to where he knew how to be calm by now. He knew how to take his time and he knew how to jab to the body. So you got to give him credit for that.
And you know what, just to finish on this topic for my behalf, I got a lot. Probably we're not talking about it. I haven't seen it on the internet, but the 154 Charlo, he's usually known for being a little cocky, a little too aggressive. But I gotta give him props because he showed this side of his sportsmanship that we haven't seen much. You know what I'm saying? Where he stopped his celebration to make sure that Rosario was good. Then he went and gave him his props. You know what I'm saying? Then he celebrated after, embraced Rosario and everything. So I wasn't expecting Charlo, because we saw what happened when J-Rock tried to shake his hand last time and he didn't want to. He started, But now I guess he's matured a little bit. I think that loss that he had against Harrison has shown him a lot. And he grew as a man, besides as a fighter, a lot. So I got to give him props for that. That's sportsmanship. This is what something, at the end of the day, they both put in their lives on the line. So you gotta give the man props for, doing what he did.
Got some comments here too. I'm sorry. Gene General says who would you like to see Jermell fight next? I'll pick Julian Williams. Who would each of you pick to see him fight next? Then Clarence said, I've been having nightmares about that punch. Sheesh. Told you, Lucas. Banana split.
Hey, that's a new saying. You might want to coin that, Clarence. To get back to Gene's question, who would we like to see fight next? I do want to discuss that, but I want to discuss it when we actually look at the division rankings.
Okay.
Then maybe we can kind of see who he would rank up against, and pick maybe some matchups out of there. However, Malachi, before I get my take in, Malachi, was it nerves? Is it what they're saying? Was it nerves on Rosario?
I think Charlo's just a better fighter. However, I don't think the first knockdown was actually a knockdown. It looked more like a slip to me. And I think Jason said that what really got him was the punch in the 6th round, that he never recovered from that. If you go back and look at that combination, that was a beautiful combination. He rocked him. And so I believe Jason. No, do I think it was rigged? No, I don't. Because I agree with Lucas. If he was acting, he was doing a really good job and deserves an Oscar. So.
Yeah, actually, it really was the accumulation of punches to me, because he never really recovered from that 6th round. The first round is what it is, but it's absolutely Charlo that made him look this bad in this fight. And I'm sorry, but you guys are taking that off your hats to Rosario. His best punch was in low blows. That was the only punches that he had. And why Charlo was holding him, Shakur, was because he was trying to escape those low blows. Okay? Because that was the best punch he threw in the fight.
Nah, that ain't going that one now. You ain't going to do that now. You're not doing that today. I'm
just saying. To me, it was absolutely Charlo that made him look bad. And you guys touched on it. He was very patient, much more patient in this fight than we ever seen him. He wasn't looking for a knockout. He was trying to let it come to him. And Rosario is tough. So those knockdowns were hard to come by. The first knockdown, absolutely, you seen his foot come off the ring. The ref can't see that though. All the ref can see is a punch landed and he went down. But at the same point, Charlo was very impressive to me that night at 154, and I believe that he put the ghost behind and showed what the real Charlos, both Charlos, are all about.
Yeah, I still want to see the trilogy against Harrison though. It's 1-1. I think.
I swear, Javi, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%, because I feel like he lost every round up to the point that he knocked out Harrison.
He was going for the second.
And that does make me want to see him revisit that again as the fighter that he's saying that he became out of those 2 fights.
Yes. Speaking of rematches, did that? Because we all agreed that he was going to beat Homeboy. What was it, Homeboy that fought last week? Erickson Lubin. Right? We all agreed that in the rematch, but we thought he would last longer. Now, are you even more convinced that Lubin loses that fight?
All right, so y'all want to go here. So let's go ahead and go to the next topic, because we keep talking middleweight, which is why I threw this topic. I'm very smart, very strategic. And when I pick these topics,
smart. Who does that?
So, guys, the
Yes, give himself
ESPN
props, you know.
ESPN just released the all divisional rankings from ESPN. So I decided today, let's go ahead and chop it up and take a look at both the middleweight and junior middleweight rankings. So do you want to start with 154 or 160, Lucas?
Whatever you want to do.
So I'm on 154. So let's start with the junior middleweights. This one is Jermell Charlo, the one who just beat Rosario. So we're gonna try to answer Gene's question here, and looking at these rankings here for it. So you have Charlo at number 1, and these are updated because they have the losses updated as well, but they still have Rosario ranked at 2. Then they have J-Rock, Julian Williams 3. Jared Hurd slid all the way to number 4. Lara is number 5.
What?
Lara is number 5.
Okay.
Behind Hurd?
Behind Hurd, yes, ma'am. Now Hurd did beat him. Brian Castano, which is an undefeated fighter, is 16-0, but he's coming up in the ranks. He's brand new. He actually has a fight with one of the top 10 in the division coming up in his next bout. They have Tony Harrison at 7, Liam Smith at 8, Patrick Teixeira, which is Castano's next fight, at number 9.
Right? I think.
Wait, he has the WBO strap. How can he have him?
He has the strap.
Yeah.
They got him all.
At 9.
That's
And
disrespectful.
your boy Erickson Lubin to round out the top 10. So that's why I want to discuss this list, guys, because I know you guys have some opinions about that, right? Shakira, you want to
that down because I'm like, I feel like that whole thing is all discombobulated.
go ahead, speak your mind. First,
I can't even remember what ranks you said people were at, but I mean, Lara, he actually has the title right now, a WBC belt, I believe, or is it the No, he has like a diamond WBC. I forget which belt he has, but he might be the regular champ. But I'm just like confused. Like Hurd, skill wise, is a huge problem for me being over a Harrison, being over a Lara, even though he did, as you said, he did beat Lara. I mean, it was like a buzzer beater. Like it was like the last round when he, had his knockdown. I mean, before that, he was like Wrigley giving it to him. It's not like he destroyed Lara in that fight. Who else did you say that was kind of like?
You were mad about Teixeira.
Yeah, as Malachi was saying, he's a timeless. How is he at number 9 and Hurd at number 4? I mean, these are things that are confusing to me. They got Hammer at 10, who just was in an eliminator, so he's somebody's number 1 contender. Oh my God! Like I think there's more of them. Okay, who did you say was 3?
So without breaking it down though, let's get into a little bit of like Gene's question here. So okay. Do you agree? Let's first and foremost, do you agree with Charlo being the top of that division now? Correct.
Yes.
So of those names, which name strikes you next? Which person do you want to see him go after? Who's earned the shot after him next? Lucas, go ahead, because Shakur, we got Shakur stumped.
Yeah, because I already told you I want to see the Harrison 3.
Okay, Shakur think.
Yeah, I mean you want to see that. I'd like to see him with a tactician like Lara, even though I think Lara's better days are behind him now.
I don't think they said since they were teammates so long, they don't really want to fight each other either.
That's another reason I want to see it.
You don't want to see the brothers fight too, huh?
I would love to see the Charlos fight each other. Yeah.
Nah, but I think the whole thing with Lara, they when they were stablemates, which I don't think they aren't anymore, they said that like they didn't want to fight each other. But now, they say, well, business is business, and we're good friends, but if we have to make it happen, we'll make it happen. So I think it's possible if they really want to do it.
Right.
That's what I want to see. I just want to see the tactician,
I really want to see Harrison and Lara because I'm like, that's too highly skilled.
That'd be a nice fight. Yeah.
So strategic of a fight, But I do think that Lara has more power than Harrison. So if he gets caught the right way, I think it might be an issue. But I would love to see those two at each other. But I'm just still like, okay, so why didn't Banana move from second since he just lost those 2 titles?
They honestly believe that I guess he's the second best right now. I mean, just because you lost doesn't mean that, maybe they're saying Rosario can still take Hurd and Williams and Lara, and
so
maybe
those
he
are
can.
all fights that can be made then.
I mean, I like them all. You're not hearing any complaints out of me.
To be honest, I'm like pretty much done with Charlo needing to be at this weight class. To be honest.
So Shakur thinks he should move up. I'm interested in hearing what our fans think on that because I absolutely don't think he should. There's plenty of fights that can be made at this weight. Just to break it down, my thoughts, then I'll go here right now and just weigh in on my thoughts with this list. I think this is a very competitive division, first and foremost. I think that Charlo is king in this division. I think that to answer some of your questions here, Shakur, I think Rosario is ranked as high as he is because they have J-Rock at number 3, and Rosario still owns a victory over J-Rock, only losing to the number 1 spot, which is Charlo. So that's what I think the logic is in that. Do I agree with it? No. I think some of these younger fighters deserve a shot to move up in the ranks. Especially like you said, Erickson Lubin just earned the title eliminator. He earns the shot to be up a little bit higher in the ranks. Then you got some of the undefeated fighters who haven't lost yet, but they just haven't fought any of the competition level. The man that I think got shafted in this list is Lara. Lara to me is a hell of a fight and would be problems for any one of these guys. Any one of these names, he would be a problem for. And he can compete. So that's really who I think got the biggest shaft. And I'm siding with Lucas here. That's who I want to see Charlo fight next.
But, I mean, at the same time, I do understand why Lara's a little further down the list. His age makes him questionable. Now, you say he can fight. I say he could the last time he was out there. Because... he's getting to that age. He's 37. And, I mean, that comes back to haunt you. Me being 36 myself, I've aged exponentially in these last 2 years, man.
Wait till you turn 40. Malachi, your interest in this list, your interest in the next Charlo fight.
I like the list. I agree with all the names, but I don't necessarily agree with where they're ranked. I don't think if you're the WBO champion, you should be ranked at, what was he, number 9 for Patrick Allen, Teixeira?
9.
Right.
But I partially agree with you, but I also don't because, the belts don't really mean shit. That doesn't mean that, Rosario still isn't better than them. That just means he has a belt.
But a guy that's not even a world champion that really hasn't, that he's getting ready to fight is ranked ahead of him in this ranking. Do you understand? You know what I mean?
I get it. I get what you're saying. I'm simply saying that those two things don't necessarily reflect each other.
I agree with you there, but I don't know. I'm not used to seeing a world champion not, ranked
that low down. I mean, we're talking like out of the top 10, you're number 9.
But y'all
he doesn't have the resume. He doesn't have the resume. Sorry, go ahead, Malachi.
Yeah, I mean, y'all do make an excellent argument for the next fight to be Irzlan de Lara. And it's a fight I would watch and enjoy, but the fight I want to see is the unification fight with Patrick Allen Teixeira. Should he win, or who's he fighting? You said
Next, he's fighting Castano.
Right?
Castano.
That's a good fight.
Well, with Lau.
Yeah.
I was in that fight over there in Brooklyn. He's a good fighter. He brings that pressure.
Yeah, it's a good fight. So I'd like to see the winner fight Charlo. And I'm all for unifying the division so we don't have an argument over who's the real world champion.
Well, this would bring him to a undisputed champion.
Right.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's look at middleweight, the 160, and this is where your Canelo rants can fly. Your Canelo rants can fly on this one because here are the names rounding the top 10. And in my opinion, these are some valid names for Canelo. Of course, you got Canelo Alvarez is number 1. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin 2. Now they put in Jamar Charlo at number 3. Demetrius Andrade 4. Derevyanchenko still sits at 5. Royota Murata is 6. Rob Bryant at 7. Then rounding off the list, you got Chris Eubank Jr., you got Korbarov, and Jaime Munguia at 10. Guys, these are some valid names, and I'll just start the rant, and you guys can take off from here. Canelo, not having a fight yet. All these names on this list that he can fight. You got the possible trilogy with Triple G.
He's not got 60.
You got Charlo sitting there now. He just fought. You got Andre. You got all these names, even within the top 10. Right. And I'm gonna mention the name I would love to see him fight. Jaime Munguia. No. That kid, because in that matchup, Canelo cannot be as big of a weight bully as he wants to be.
Yeah, but I think Munguia is a little too green yet for Canelo. You know,
too green. He's got 35 fucking fights.
Besides, yeah, but I mean, look at the level of position he has. It's not.
No, he's fought some competition now. He's fought a few names.
But this is what I don't get about you boxing fans. Like you're willing to take it easy and bring somebody, step by step. But some fighters, y'all want to just throw him to the lions. Like, and I think Munguia is good, but I think he's too green for Canelo. Now, let's be honest here. You mentioned a lot of names in the top 10. Canelo's not going to fight none of them. He's talking about some children guy from out of nowhere that just got a loss. And for last I checked, Canelo said that he was going to be fighting at 168. So why do they have the men rank at number 1? At
Agree. That's what I was going to say. Why is he number 1?
So this is the whole. I think this whole rankings. I don't know if it's like by the body organizations or some journalists at ESPN that's doing subjective according to his own views. Yeah. But let's be honest here. The face of boxing, Canelo, should fight those guys in the top 10. If he's gonna fight the top 10 now, he's too busy fighting his promoter and his network right now in the courts. So. The face of boxing needs to be the face of boxing in the ring, not in the court. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, he's got to fight him. He wants to fight Yildirim so bad that he has to take him to court, so they allow him to fight Yildirim for a vacant title.
Yeah.
So WBC can kiss his ass a little bit more.
Hold on, guys. Now, that is actually not true. He actually is going to court, but it's because he said it's not right for them to say that Callum Smith is not, or Callum Smith or BJ Saunders isn't ranked high enough for them to be a valuable fight with him, which is the two opponents that he originally were trying to like match him up with. But DAZN is saying no, not because they're not really valuable boxers, but because they have invested so much money into this Triple G fight, and they're like, you need to do this fight for us. I mean, he's actually not suing them because he just wants to fight Yildirim, but that's a good backup because they're at least gonna give him the belt if he gets that. He gets that WBC belt back. that was vacated by Benavidez at 168. Listen, it's not that much. It's not that much to say about 160 for Big Charlo. I'm sorry. I just don't see why he needs to sit around at this weight division, and then when it's only 8 pounds, and he got a whole nother slew of people, boxers to fight, and they have established names. They're bigger fights. They're people that they can match up easier. I'm sorry, like a Caleb Plant and a Benavidez. You can do that in house. I mean, you want to get to the Canelo money. So, I mean, it's obvious he's not trying to go down to 160 because basically, this is how it is, y'all. I'm going to put it like this. I am a cheerleader for him, Charlo, Jamal, to do the same shit Canelo did. You got some belts at middleweight, so now you need to just go on up and get some more. Vacate those titles. Let the rest of those guys fight over those middleweight belts, okay? And just keep it moving up. Like, what is he? I mean, there's no big money fight for him at middleweight to me. Who is on that list that we're just like stammering to see Charlo fight?
Triple G. I'd like to see him fight Triple G.
Yeah.
And when he beats Triple G, is anybody going to be impressed with him fighting the older Triple G?
Now, hold on now. I can't say he's gonna beat Triple G, but
oh my God. What I'm trying to tell you is if Charlo, beats a Triple G, who is gonna be like super impressed with him fighting an older Triple G? That's the same thing that Canelo was thinking. He's like, well, when I beat him again, after I done like had to come down and wait to fight him at 160 or whether it's 168, if once I do this, and nobody's gonna be impressed with me fighting him at this point because I've aged him.
Come on, Sakura. You know Canelo don't care about that. He brought up Amir Khan to beat the crap out of him. He don't care about that. He don't care. He's trying to fight Yildirim for a vacant title. He does not care.
I need him.
He don't care a damn what you think, what I think, what anybody thinks.
What I'm saying to you guys is that it's no difference for Charlo to beat a Triple G than it would be for Canelo at this point to beat Triple G. Sorry. With Triple G was the shit, okay? For about 4 years, and he couldn't fight anybody but who they decided to throw at him. By the time he got to Danny Jacobs, he was already sliding a little bit. Now this man is in a hold. I mean, how long do y'all expect this man to fight? And wait for a Canelo fight.
Because what he won the WBC strap, right? Charlo.
Yeah, well,
you got the ring belt, right? So is that in their organization? If I vacate but I move up, do I automatically become the number one contender, right?
Right.
So then if Canelo were to win this belt at 160, and I get where she's going with that. She's saying he should force Canelo at 168 to either fight him because he's the number one contender or vacate the belt. I get what you're saying.
Okay, but
make some real coins.
Yeah, so make some coins for this. Shakur, I thought you were going for this for tweet of the week, but since you didn't, I'ma steal your thunder. In this division, Canelo, next opponent, TBA. Golovkin, next opponent, Camille, nobody.
Don't call somebody nobody.
Andre, next opponent, TBA. Mirta, next opponent, TBA. Chris Eubanks, next opponent, TBA. There's all those fighters right there. So why is Canelo TBA? Why is Triple G fighting none of these names on the list? Hell, the only decent matchup somebody has right now on this list is Munguia, and he's fighting Tyrion Johnson next. That would be a good test for him, but even so, he could have been available for them. So if you're going to sit here and try to go back to 160, which is back to the point I was trying to make earlier, Malachi, if you're going to go back down to 160 to collect a belt, collect it from a valid opponent. Don't take nobody that's not on that list. You're the number one pound for pound guy, and you're not even fighting anyone in the top 10.
Yeah, but he's fighting 168, bro. That's what we're saying. What I was saying earlier about Charlo is I believe Charlo. Now I understand more what Sakara was saying and what she's trying to make her point about him vacating the belt, which makes sense if you're going to want to force the Canelo to fight him. But for them to take that fight, he's going to have to, because it is such a dangerous fight for Canelo. He's going to have to bring something to the table worthy of Canelo signing his name on that, because we all know that he's just the way that his career has been shaped by his company and the people. Now that we have seen Canelo take risks too, because Oscar De La Hoya told him, do not fight Laura. Do not fight Laura. And he got so sick and tired of Laura. I think he even showed up at one of his press conferences, right? Calling him out, talking shit. No, I'm sorry if I cuss, right? He got so sick of it. He was like, no, I don't care what you say. You work for me. Get the contract done. And they got the fight done. You know what I mean?
Malachi, he showed up for a press conference after a fight.
Yeah, after a fight.
After a Canelo fight. And you know what? We talked about this. Maybe that's what the Charlo brothers need to do.
Yeah, because
maybe
Canelo's
that's
not
what they need to
scared.
do.
He's not scared of nobody. It's just him and his promotional company are business first. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And if I can make as much money fighting someone else than fighting you, and you're a real legitimate threat, then I'll just fight the other guy until you can make it worth my time to fight you, or force me, as the first lady of heavyweight boxing pointed out.
Lucas, I want you to chime in on this part, because I know you're gonna say Canelo got plenty of money, so it's not even about money at this point. Why won't you fight the highest level competition, since it's more about your legacy at this point? And I think that's another reason why he's starting to get a little frustrated with his management and promotional team too.
Yeah, I mean, he's built a resume. He hasn't really earned the resume. He started to with Triple G, again, like people were pointing out earlier, maybe a little late. Maybe he was a little already over the hill, already starting on the slide a little bit. But, he's tried, but it is kind of a manufactured, for the most part, resume.
Everybody's is, though, don't you think?
But you said Nara.
To an extent. To an extent, but everybody's like, right, and he can do no wrong in the public side. I'm talking media too, because I'm pretty sure I was the only one that was bashing Amir Khan. Everybody's posting about how amazing this fight's gonna be. Like, it's a name, which adds more money to your paycheck, and that's what it's about. I mean, Laura's just simply no money, but.
The fans killed Canelo, bro. You go in the groups, they hate. Canelo is the most hated fighter in boxing.
Well, that was Mayweather's form.
But there's a reason.
You got to be, I think, to be, people want to see your ass kicked for you to make money. So, I mean, that's really the only way to go about it. And I don't think Canelo started that way. I think Canelo has ended up that way because we want to see these fights that we don't get. And then we hold him responsible, and it is his legacy. Like you said, he needs to take more control. I agree. Yes, he went ahead and fought Lara, and that may have been a mistake because a lot of people think he lost that fight. But it seems like when he steps up, all of those fights are questionable. Every single one. If you can say, "Oh, Canelo, this is a good fight," not just a name, but a legitimate fight, guess what? There's all of those fights you think he could have lost it. That's Trout. That's Golovkin on both fights. That's Lara. That's actually taking fights, not just bringing people up to your level to knock the shit out of them for your knockout reel later on. But I mean, that's what he's did. That's what he's did.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move on, but I'm just gonna nickname this group the Canelo Haters Club. That's what we gonna be called from here on out. All right, guys. We gotta
I
move
wanted
on.
to like
we gotta
him.
move on.
I
Elmo.
tried.
Elmo. Shakira, this is your moment right now. Let's go into your tweet of the week.
All right, so we got a fan of boxing that says Joshua, Canelo, and Triple G are three of the biggest stars in boxing, but one is fighting Pulev, next one is fighting Yildirim, and one is fighting, I can't say this name, Zarameta. Next. Kinda disappointing to say the least, whether it's mandatory or for a vacant title or not. Poor fights. Well, I mean, we could go into the fact that yes, they are poor fights. Everybody knows they're poor fights. I'm not even going to sit up here and try to argue that one of them is a good fight. Or we can sit up here and be like, well, why is that? Is it because of COVID year? Is it because there's no fans to actually purchase tickets and buy the gate? Or is it simply for people to avoid other prize fighters? And I'm just going to let Rob answer first.
It's COVID. I'm blaming COVID. That's all I got. I'm just blaming COVID.
Why you say that?
Because by this time, within the year, if COVID wasn't here and we had a normal year, those fights wouldn't even be picked up. I would doubt they'd be picked up. Pulev against AJ definitely would be picked up, but the other two, no.
Javi, what is the problem? Why are our fighters, these prize fighters, fighting B-side fighters?
Because they can get away with it. If you can rob the bank, and you can rob a bank, and you know you can get away with it, you will do it. Just like I will do it. Anybody else will do it. So there's basically the whole bullshit of high risk, low reward. So there's also the way that they want to look not just great, but they want to look wonderful in the ring. So these B fighters help you because they give you some work. And since you're some levels above, when you fight with them, you look invincible. So the fans, especially the casual fans, is like, wow, these guys, nobody's beating this guy, kind of like when fans says, oh my God, Floyd Mayweather will beat Mike Tyson because he looks so invincible that, you know what I'm saying? They will think like that. But the thing is, I think we should probably hold responsible not just the body organizations, but the athletic commissions of different states when they approve of these matchups where are completely mismatchups, and some guy end up getting hurt because he's fighting a guy that's way above his level. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we're saying something about this athletic commissions are going to be a little more demanding of the matchups being a little more equal to each other. Because when you have these matches where you know that this guy is going to get destroyed and he's being a sacrificing goat, it could be any type of trouble. So at the end of the day, we like these fighters, but we want them to go home to their families. We don't want nobody to get hurt, permanently hurt.
Malachi!
I mean...
Or Lucas, one.
I was going to say, don't get me wrong, I shared this guy's sentiment. In fact, he says kind of disappointed. I'm completely disappointed. But I'm also a realist. I mean, no matter who your favorite fighter is, you do have some fluff fights. But I mean, we've talked about these guys before. It's inevitable. Like Javi was saying, you do kind of have to, set up a few pins to show people how you can knock them down to then finally be like, all right, now I warrant this bigger fight, So I hate it, and I definitely completely agree that I'm all the way disappointed. I understand it, but it's
Malachi, I'm going to go ahead and it's Malachi. I want to know, what do you think about this? But also, is this part of the reason why you think boxing is losing fans?
First, I want to say that I think that Pulev has a chance to beat Anthony Joshua because he's kind of chinny. So if he catches him, he might put him out. You know what I mean? So I'm not as I don't know if
You're
I'm
not
as
upset about
disappointed.
that.
I mean, it's a mandatory. He's got to fight him or vacate. I'd rather see him fight, Fury or Wilder, but they got some business to handle too. I do think that the problem with boxing is we don't promote the fights. Like someone was somewhere and they were saying something, and somebody mentioned a card and they're like, "Oh crap! I even forgot that was on that night." I think that we was on here last week, right? Right?
Josh Taylor. It was the Josh Taylor fight. I didn't even remember.
I think promotion is why fans don't watch. Plus, I don't think boxing does a good enough job of getting us to introduce to the actual fighters. Like the UFC has something where the fighters go and live in a house. I think boxing used to have something like that back in the day.
The Contender, yeah.
The Contender,
yeah.
But you know what I mean. I think that I think you have to have a reason for the casual fan to care about you as a fighter. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Good point.
you got the backstory and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Good points. By the way, screw you, Javi. I seen that subliminal you threw at me.
I had to do it, bro.
All right, y'all. That concludes the tweet of the week. Lucas, you want to do rapid fire? We done for the night.
Yeah, I knew she was gonna ask for it, so there you go.
Oh, boom! Go ahead with Shakura's eye candy.
It's the same one from last week, Sakura. Because
we didn't
use it.
I hope this isn't too risque.
I had to peel back from what Sakura sent me. I was like, we gonna get banned.
Shakura.
Hey, I have to look at women's skin. I mean, every other week, so I feel like all is fair.
Women's
skin
is better than men.
Say what, Javi?
Women's skin is better than men.
In your opinion, I'm not going. In your opinion, go ahead, Shakura.
Okay, so my eye candy for the week is the British champion. Oh my God, it is David. Hey, he's so gorgeous. I mean, he's competed from 2002 to 2018. He now is involved with Chisora, heavyweight Chisora's career as his management team and helping training him. I love this aspect about him. It's really like, your former opponent and now you guys are close and you're friends and you're trying to improve Chisora's record. I think this is a great matchup for those two. Now, he is the only thing I got to say about David Haye that I wish had happened was we did all want to see him and Klitschko go at it. But check this out. If David Haye was fighting right now with his sexy, fine, gorgeous, golden caramel body of the gods, who would you like to see him fight in the now heavyweight bout?
Nobody.
I'd like to see him fight. I don't know.
I'm talking about a prime David Haye with killer hooks, power, KO type stuff. Who would you have him match up with as a heavyweight that's out today?
I'll see Usyk.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that one because that I like that fight.
Agree.
Haven't you got anybody?
No, you go to
Malachi?
What?
Usyk. Yeah,
I was like, well, Javi
checked out.
Javi said, we talking about men. I ain't I ain't listening.
I said, if David Haye was active currently now as the British heavyweight champion, who in the heavyweight division currently do you think would make a great matchup? It would make a big fight.
Oh.
You're interested again?
David Haye was solid. David Haye was solid. So I will match him in there with maybe Ortiz. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna match him tough. I'm not gonna give him no easy tune-ups or none of that. So I'll say either Ortiz or even I like to see the Nigerian brother Efe. One of them big guys. I would like to see him against there because he'll come in with that haymakers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He did fight Klitschko, by the way.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I thought he didn't fight the second, the younger brother.
He got dominated.
Retired.
The older brother. Yeah, he didn't fight him. He didn't fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
He fought Vladimir.
It's like they were supposed to actually
Vladimir
have
dominated.
got canceled.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's move into. Go ahead, Shakira. Sorry. I thought we were moving.
End my eye candy by saying I can't wait to see who Rob has next week for eye candy, and I want to just give you the challenge of picking someone that could possibly fight a Caressa Shields.
So I gotta pick somebody who can fight Carissa. Okay, challenge accepted. Okay. So rapid fire tonight, I wanted to do a little different in honor of all the sports going on right now. Today we just started with the MLB baseball playoffs. So rapid fire tonight, really what I want to discuss, and I want y'all opinion, is we have another Super 6 tournament. I want you guys to pick the division and who possibly would be your 6 fighters. So I'm saying if we had another Super 6 tournament go on, what division would you like to see it in? Who is your top 6 fighters?
Oh man, can I go first?
Lucas, go right ahead.
Well, I'd probably pick super middle, and I'd probably say Canelo, Plant, Benavidez. How many was that? 3?
Mm-hmm. I got some names if you need them.
Caleb Smith.
Oh.
And let's just say BJ Saunders.
That was 5, Lucas.
Yeah. How many? 6? Oh,
6.
sorry. Throw Golovkin in there. He can move up. Throw him 160.
Golovkin moving. I like it. I like that. That was good. Now, who do you think will win? Too tough.
I don't know.
Too tough, right?
Oh,
That's
man.
too tough.
I don't know.
That would be an awesome Super 6. That would be awesome. Hobby, what you got down there?
I'm going to go with the lightweights just because I see a bunch of jabbing between these guys and talking all that gaga they've been talking. So I want to see them, throwing up some fists. I'm going to go with David Haney, Ryan Garcia, Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez. Let's see who else we throw in there. That's a lightweight right now. This kid in my mind, I forgot, but he's a lightweight too. That's solid. Tank, I'll throw Tank in there. And what's the name of this kid that he fought like 2 weeks ago? That he's a lightweight too. That looks solid. You know what? Let's throw my man Hitchens from Brooklyn. He's a lightweight, solid, undefeated. I like to see them against them. And of course, there's no need to ask me who's going to win that. Loma the God.
You see, that's why you wanted to say that damn division.
He's got to slip it in there somewhere. He set it up well.
Loma got to win October 7th.
Shakur, what you got?
Well, Javi stole my division. So, of course, you can always go to the welterweights and find a plethora of talent.
Oh,
so,
man.
I'll just take the welterweights.
Welterweights fit you better with Bud, so.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you. I won't even put Bud in my 6 choices. How about that?
Oh, really?
Because that's how deep it is.
He gotta be.
Tell us how you really feel, Sakura. Tell us how you really feel.
Well, the winner of my Super 6 gets to fight Bud. How about that?
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, I just made that up. I wasn't about to do that. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is that, you could put any of those top 5 together, and then you throw in a Virgil Ortiz or Ennis Booth. Oh my God. What are we talking about here? I don't know who would come on time. I'm not including Bud because I would be impartial. You know, I wouldn't be able to keep my, love for him out of the way. So I guess I'm talking about a Spence. I'm talking about Danny Garcia. I'm talking about Pacquiao. I'm gonna throw in Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Oh damn, I got too many already because I want to put in. I said Virgil Ortiz and I wanted to throw in the two newbies, Virgil Ortiz and Ennis Booth. So I got to get rid of one of these people. Let me get rid of Pacquiao because he's already a legend. We don't even need to go any further. So if I take out Pacquiao and I add in those two prospects, I guess you're now finna ask me who I see winning that.
Yeah. Right.
Amir Khan? Do you say Amir Khan, Sakura?
Let me tell you something, Shakura. I honestly think Virgil Ortiz is a dark horse in that because we really don't know what he's made of, but the kid's got a lot of talent.
And Ennis Booth too. He's a problem. He hit you with all kind of angles you can't see, and those are the ones that really hurt somebody. I mean, for me, I'm gonna have to say that my final four would probably end up being like the two new prospects against somebody like a Sean Porter that's rugged as hell, and you ain't gonna knock him out, and a Spence again. Out of all those names, and then I mean, who could we end up after that? I mean, that's a hard division, guys.
Yeah, it's a deep division.
Malachi, what do you have?
I'm gonna go with the super featherweight division. I'm gonna throw in Miguel Burchell, Jojo Diaz, Santa Cruz, Herring. And I'm gonna put Mark Magsayo, and I'm gonna have Gary Russell Jr. move up to super featherweight, and that's who I'm gonna have winning it.
Gary Russell. Okay.
I thought he did move up to super featherweight.
He also did that to poke at you a little bit about the 130s and below. You know how you do 135.
That's why I don't have a comment.
Yeah, I could tell.
That's exactly why.
But you know what? Now that if you think about it, right? We all mentioned a different division, and we mentioned the top players of that division. That tells you right there, we have some good fighters, and we're not getting the matchups that we should be getting.
It tells you we have bad promotion and matchmaking.
Javi, you know me. You know that's exactly my point. You know that was exactly my point I was trying to make with this.
Oh, really?
You were absolutely right.
Yeah.
But because I don't like them little, I'm going with the big boys. I'm going to do a Super 6 heavyweight division. We're talking Fury, Joshua, Wilder. You got to throw in Ortiz because I think Ortiz can be a problem matched up with anybody. Usyk is in there. And drum roll, please, to round out that list. I honestly want to give it a shot to Andy Ruiz. I want to see what Andy Ruiz can do. I think he got his stuff together. He gets his mind right. He can compete at any level with any of these guys.
I don't know. I like that whole scenario. If we really could have like a Super 6 situation in all these divisions, because when they really did that with Anton, the rails, I mean, it was amazing. And you really got to see the cream of the crop before they started, going their own ways and signing different contracts and stuff. And it made it very much to the point, like Malachi was saying, where we knew all these fighters. We had heard of them before because they were in this tournament.
Right.
What do you say about can't get that though?
So to finish my point in picking the winner of that heavyweight Super 6 bout, I think what you said. I think Andre Ward really grew up and grew into the fighter that he became because of the Super 6. And I see that happening in the heavyweight division. I see Usyk growing up in that type of environment, shocking the world, so to speak, and coming out of there alive. I think Usyk could win that tournament. That being said, Shakur, I mean, I think that's really what we need. Probably on the docket as soon as possible is a Super 6 tournament.
May I ask you about, did you watch the bantamweight one?
Would I?
It's already happened.
Then
Naoya won. Like so you're saying we need a Super 6, but you got a Super 6, but you didn't watch it.
Right. Because it's the little guys, though.
He's
No, the cruiserweight one was just this weekend.
Oh, I watched that fight too, Malachi. Those two were really skilled.
Yeah.
I actually caught that on the zone.
So it's
the last minute though with Super Series.
That's again promotion. I didn't even know.
Promotion, which is
like, how did I not know this?
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Malachi, no, I did not watch the Bantamweight Super 6. I watched Regis Progress.
I watched the Bantamweight one, but I had no idea. Cruiserweight one. No idea.
Josh Taylor, I didn't get to see that fight, but it wasn't like it was a huge buzz about it, and I saw like 2 posts on it that was saying, oh, you know, he basically had a cab driving, an Uber driver, shit like that. Which I don't.
It was a mandatory, if I recall correctly. It was a mandatory. He had to get out of the way. So he's going to fight Ramirez.
Yes.
Now that's a fight that we're really going to be talking about when that goes down.
Malachi, that was one of my eye candies.
Lucas, you have anything to add before we end the show gracefully?
Just one. You failed me tonight as a host. I got stuff we didn't even talk about. We got Nevada instant replay rules. Is Pacquiao McGregor true?
We can hold that. We can hold off on
that
because you guys are so passionate about your discussion.
I tell you what, you definitely want to. I want to ask one question. Do y'all think now that Pacquiao McGregor is actually in talks that this is it for Pacquiao? He's hanging him up because I think really. And I did post an article on our website, again, heavybagboxing.com. But basically when they start the exhibition fights or the celebrity-type fights, that's their way of, I'm officially done with legit fighters. I'm just here for the money, and I'm getting out.
I think he's got one legit fight first, and then he's going to end up with McGregor. He's going to fight Mikey Garcia. And I've known this like of the rumor for months. I know someone that's very close to the Pacquiao team, not only the Pacquiao team, but all their fighters, you know what I mean? And knows them on a face-to-face basis. And we were having this discussion after he was on my show because that was back when the rumor was Crawford. And he's like, it's not Crawford, it's Mikey Garcia. And I was like, really? I was like, really? It's Mikey Garcia. And he's like, yeah. And so I kept it close to my chest. I didn't really tell anybody because he'd asked me not to, because it's not the official. Waited around. Then about 2 weeks later, I'm watching Anthony Saldana in the rundown. He's the guy out of the West Coast, really plugged in. And his co-host says, the news that came out today was I talked to someone inside the Mikey Garcia camp. He's fighting Manny Pacquiao. They're in negotiations, right? And then I was like, oh, so now I'm a Yehuda where two or more, witness to 2 or more than this thing's established. That's Torah. Mm-hmm. So we were like, oh, wow. So I kept that to myself. And then to yesterday, I don't know if you've seen the news, Mikey's on Fight Hype. And he basically threw a riddle out there. He was like, yeah, McGregor's next fight is Manny Pacquiao. But Manny Pacquiao's next fight is me, 100%. And I believe him. And I've heard the rumor going on 3 months now from people I trust inside both camps. So he's fighting Mikey Garcia first.
Yeah, I also heard about the Mikey situation, but I also heard that Pacquiao is trying to complete 2 fights and then retire.
Which would make sense if McGregor's the second fight.
Initially, they were going to try to make that Mayweather fight 2 this year, but then all that stuff popped off. COVID came up, and then it was like, no, I'm not gonna fight that right now. So then it came up. He still needed those 2 fights to be completed. So these are the 2 fights. But I mean, Pacquiao doing this with McGregor so that he can make money to help out his people. I mean, if that is going to be the last fight of his career, what a way to end your career and being able to say, I'm doing this for my people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that Pacquiao is a humanitarian. He's going to be known up there with Ali for all of his, social causes and things like that. And there's nothing that nobody can say to take that away from him. And I love Pacquiao's decision. If he wants to fight McGregor as his last fight and ride off in the sunset without the U.S. IRS coming after him, good for him.
Mm-hmm. Just to piss all of you off, he has one more fight after that. Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao 2.
Floyd's not taking that fight.
Well, after that, he'll just be a celebrity anyway, so maybe.
As an exhibition, maybe.
Yeah.
I think Floyd's fighting the great Logan, no?
Yeah, he's fighting Logan Paul.
All right,
that
guys.
is not official.
That is not official, and I refuse.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
What about Ryan Garcia pulling up on the younger Paul with a contract saying sign the contract?
It's so stupid.
PITCH, and they were like, and then the audacity of the Paul brother to actually talk trash to Ryan Garcia. Like, I may not think much of him as a fighter, but he would just crush homeboy.
Well, right, but if you watch that stupid first fight, or if you've watched any of the YouTube crap, you know that they're just friends anyway. Yeah. That's all just jokes, So it's like, come on, man, this is getting embarrassing. This ain't the WWE. Get the hell out of here.
Did Garcia drop one of them on the body punch challenge, and it was like on IG, and he like dropped him, and he had to go to the hospital?
Right? So you can't pull up on somebody after you got dropped? Like, I don't know. That's stupid.
It's a joke until the fans actually want to see it with all their YouTube fans and followers and Garcia followers, and they're gonna be like, "Damn, we really could make a lot of money."
Yeah, but isn't the Jack? No, that's the Roy Jones fight that the Jack fight's gonna be on, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Clarence says, "Rob, go to bed."
What's wrong
Right. I've been trying to, but the show got out of hand. Hey, y'all, I'm sorry. I got to apologize to everybody tonight. It looks like I lost control just like they lost control over the debate.
Did they?
I was about to say, we're missing the real fight tonight, which is the presidential debate.
Are they going at it?
Context.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. For the Heavy Bad Boxing team, this was another great Tough Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, Robert, Lucas Biggers, Shakura A, Javi, and Malachi. Everybody have a good night. Peace.